Some economists believe that there's actually a fourth factor of production, and that is entrepreneurship. You've got land, labor, capital, and then entrepreneurship. So let's look at entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is a person who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business. They're running the business. They're the person that's running the business. They're in charge. They're in control. Most people, when they think of an entrepreneur, they think of someone who starts and runs a business. They start their own business and then they run it. But an entrepreneur doesn't have to be someone who starts a business. They could take over a business from someone else and continue to produce those products or come up with new ideas and new products. So an entrepreneur doesn't have to start their own, but at some point they have to be the person in control of the business that's running everything. Entrepreneurs are very important, and not everybody is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs have to be willing to take risks. There's a lot of risk involved when you start a business or you take over a business. You risk your reputation, you risk your money, you risk your family's welfare, you also risk your pride because you are risking failing in front of everyone, in front of your community, in front of your family. So entrepreneurs have to be willing to take those risks. And there are a lot of people out there that are not willing to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to take risks and they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. And that's okay. Some people are just not made to be entrepreneurs. There are thousands of examples of entrepreneurs just in US history alone. The most famous would probably be Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is famous for perfecting the incandescent light bulb, but he did so much more. He started the world's first industrial research laboratory, and out of that, he had over 1,000 patents. So we have 1,000 new inventions, new things coming out of Thomas Edison's research lab that he started. Another example of an entrepreneur would be Alexander Graham Bell. And everybody knows Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. So if we didn't have Edison and we didn't have Alexander Graham Bell, think about what the world would be missing. We wouldn't have telephones and we wouldn't have good light bulbs or an electrical system to run them on. What about modern day entrepreneurs? Well, the most famous would probably be Bill Gates, who started Microsoft, and one that you might know that you might not think about as being an entrepreneur is Diddy or Sean Combs. He started his own record label, Bad Boy Records, but he expanded that and now he sells his own line of rims and his own line of clothing, and he has other things like that as well. So he's also considered an entrepreneur. Why are entrepreneurs important? Entrepreneurs are so important because they give us new products and new ideas. If no one is willing to take risks and step out and try anything new, then we're never going to have anything new. If Alexander Graham Bell was too scared to go out and invest his money and create a telephone, we may never have telephones. If we didn't have telephones, we wouldn't have internet because internet started out with dial-up. There's so many things that we would not have if we didn't have entrepreneurs. So they give us new products and new ideas. A good example of entrepreneurs bringing us a new product and a new idea is the story of YouTube. YouTube was started by three guys who actually worked for PayPal, and they noticed that there was a need for a place to share videos on the internet for free where people could upload their videos, and they launched YouTube in 2005. Eventually, YouTube was sold to Google, but these guys ended up being super rich, and they introduced a product to the rest of the world that the world did not have before. YouTube gets over 2 billion hits a day, and I can guarantee you that the majority of people listening to this presentation or watching this video have at least seen one video on YouTube or at least heard about a video on YouTube. So if we didn't have these guys stepping out, taking risks, and becoming entrepreneurs, then we wouldn't have YouTube. Now, being an entrepreneur has its pros and its cons. There's a lot of benefits and a lot of risks. And in the chart, in your notes, you don't have to write down all of these. I would write down maybe 3 or 4 that you think are the most important. But there are a lot of benefits to being an entrepreneur. You can be your own boss. You set your own hours. You have the control. Also, there's a potential for more money. You have job security. You can't get fired. You're not going to fire yourself. You have the opportunity to use a lot of different skills and knowledge. You're not just going to be sitting in front of a machine all day in a factory. You get to do a lot of different things running a business. You may also gain recognition as a business owner, and it will give you a sense of achievement. But there are also a lot of risks as well. There's the risk of failure. There's a good chance you may fail. Your income may not be regular, especially at the beginning. You may lose money for the first couple of years of your business. So you need to make sure that you have enough money set aside to get you through those times. There's a lot more responsibility. There's more time involved. You have to worry about the business and what goes on. You're the one who has the pressure and the stress. If you run a business and somebody calls in sick, it's your job to make sure that somebody's there to fill in. You're never really allowed to call in sick unless you have somebody to cover for you. Also, there's a big financial risk when you're an entrepreneur. You're the one who takes on the responsibility of the debts for that business. Now that you've considered the pros and the cons of being an entrepreneur, I want you to answer those last 3 questions on the notes based on what you think. Would you like to be an entrepreneur? Why or why not? So give me your opinion on these last 3 questions about being an entrepreneur.